I don't think we can all agree that there is nothing wrong with mobile touchscreen gaming. Technically, this is how we all started playing Android games, but today, you wouldn't really have to. With that in mind, we've managed to round up a list of almost 20 single-player platformers ready to go for free for your Android and iOS devices that are also playable offline. Let's go. Sitting on the Play Store since almost a month ago. At number 1, we've got over here finally the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, available exclusively for Netflix members. However, otherwise you can actually use an unofficial link, which is totally fine, and get it all for free for all that matters. Guys, TMNT over here takes you down for 1 GB of space. It is playable both on online and offline, runs perfect with pretty much any controller. I couldn't really figure out why the game is free. It's just about the perfect console to mobile port. 10 out of 10, I couldn't recommend this one enough. Moving on.
Give it up, Shredder! It's over! I will get my revenge!
No longer up for pre-register and available worldwide since a couple of weeks ago. We've got over here, in case you missed it, the one and only Flash Party. This is an action brawler fighting game heavily inspired by the Super Smash Bros. And the recently released Multiverses. Here's a trailer in case you missed it. This game is obviously more exciting to go about and runs with friends, but it's playable offline and in single player with AIs, which are actually pretty smart. You can play this one with a controller. Moving on to number 3, coming from Pixel Bytes, as a series of action shooters that go back to more than half a century ago. We have Space Marshals 3. This is an offline/online tactical stealth and loot-based top-down shooter, a mobile exclusive, but frankly feeling like a console to mobile port that was just handled by a god-tier developer. Just keep in mind you do not want to play this one on the touchscreen, as the game is only good with a controller and it takes you down from 1 GB of space. Coming up behind that, we have Brawlhalla. First of all, I'd have to say this is the number 1 recommendation for those of you, like myself, who just never seem to get enough of fights. Guys, Brawlhalla is actually a solo and squad-based fighter. It's playable with or against friends or solo. It's got a lot of different modes to play through in casual matches, 4-player fights, and about 50 players to choose from. Check it out. This game's been around since 2020 and sitting on Play Store with over 10, technically 100 million downloads so far worldwide, with crossplay support. Moving on to number 5, we have Grim Veiler. Guys, this is a Souls-like hack-and-slash, technically RPG platformer with perhaps the most fine-tuned gameplay system on the entire platform. Literally. See, Grim Veiler works with almost any controller in its current state. The game is playable offline entirely, but there is a downside with it. See, this game is only playable for free through the first couple of hours, at which point then you gotta decide if you want to purchase it. However, personally, I'd have to say hands down, this is one of the best games I have ever played, so keep it in mind. Sitting on the Play Store with over 50 million downloads and a 4.5 out of 5. At number 6, we've got Souls Knights. This is a action pixel art roguelike shooter, top-down platformer, pretty much like the recently released free game Otherworld Legends, but this one is free, it doesn't crash, and has a bigger pool of characters and weapons to have fun with. Not to mention, just a randomly generated system here is legitimately better. Game's playable offline and works with controllers as well. At number 7, we've got Rocket League Sideswipe. First off, this is a mobile spin-off of Rocket League that came out kinda last year, and honestly just the single most fine-tuned touchscreen support game on the Google Play, in my opinion, in gameplay mechanics. Anyway, this game actually does support the controller. It is a skill-based platform-style soccer game, but then with cars. It's downloaded over 10 million times already, and so far actually considered as one of the most addicting games on the Google Play. It's free. Coming from the same developers of the previously mentioned series at number 3, Space Marshals, we've got over here number 8, Xenowork. Well, perhaps, if not set in vain, an even more engaging and challenging top-down action shooter. Having an alien shooter and a dungeon crawler with legitimate graphics, never heard about a bug with this game, and just about smooth as smooth can be. It's perfectly balanced for anyone with a taste for shooters. Xenoworks works with a controller and is mainly an offline game. Moving on to number 9, we have the actually only limited to the App Store game of the day, yet the biggest adventure RPG on the whole platform, even if it were on the Google Play. Something called Fantasian, not to mention coming from the same team behind all Final Fantasy games. I'm assuming if you have even played this one, you probably didn't know that pre-release Fantasian has been in development for 3 years straight. Anyway, besides the controller, this game is even playable with a mouse and a keyboard, which is just divine. At number 10, well, the only game that I haven't played myself in the list, with over 10 million downloads, sitting on the Play Store with a 4.2 out of 5, taking it down for roughly 100 megabytes of space, something called Stickman Skate Battle. Stickman Skate Battle has been around since 2017, and I know for a fact that this game is free all the way and has no ads whatsoever. If you do like skating, Stickman style or just Stickman style games, and play them with a controller, well, I do believe you wouldn't find a game, if not better, more famous than this one.
Make your people proud.
If you're a fan of old paid mobile games and you haven't bought Oddmar already, well, first of all, Oddmar's been out for almost 3 years now, and only a few minutes of having this one for free on your phones will determine whether if you're going to buy this or not. Only the first few minutes. Oddmar's a physics-based action platformer, puzzler, to some extent a story-based game, and if I had to say so myself, the most advanced in graphics game in the list today. This game has won awards, it's playable with any controller, and has a huge campaign. At number 12 over here we have, and I'm not really sure guys if it's working with just any controller, you might need some mapping, however, still literally the most decent touchscreen support on a beat 'em up game, and probably the most perfect mobile port to the old Streets of Rage 1. This game's free all the way, but to be able to play it offline and see no ads, you gotta spend $1 and make it premium. In any case, game is playable even online, in co-op with friends, and definitely worth the hassle. Moving on. At number 13, downloaded over 50 million times with a 4.5 out of 5. We've got over here Bomb Squad. This is, I would have to say, the purest form of platform action games and mainly an online game, but actually totally playable offline and literally the most challenging game in the list here. Just imagine what you'd get by mixing the old Super Smash Bros., the recently released Multiverses, and throw in anything good about the old Bomberman games. And you get Bomb Squad. This game is half the way free and totally fun to play with a controller. Otherwise, it's a drag. Evoland, on the other hand, not a free game, almost one. Over here sitting on the Play Store for about $1 as of only last month. I mean, it used to be $5 for what I'd like to call a premium mobile port, if we're talking replay value. Hell, this game is a platformer, an RPG, an adventure, and a hack and slasher, even a top-down in sections. It's pretty innovative, it's fun, funny, playable offline with a controller, and has been around for more than 3 years now. Check it out. At At number 15, we have Sparklight. Sparklight's from a tad over a year ago and now sitting on the Play Store with the highest rating store and only downloaded over 100,000 times ever since. It's pretty much the same deal with the past couple of games with this one. The game is free in its first act until the first boss, then up to you to decide if you want to keep going. It's just for those of you new, a Legend of Zelda classic with better graphics and mixed with Souls-like elements. Check it out in case you missed it. The game is definitely worth a try, albeit it's a little short. Moving on, we have, once again, I've mentioned this one before, the one and only award-winning mobile exclusive game Badland. This is one, if not the most beautiful platformer of its own kind, and technically speaking the oldest game in the list here, in fact, released an entire decade back, which is just a miracle for such quality and free. This game's downloaded over 10 million times so far. It's for those of you new, an atmospheric side-scrolling action-adventure platformer, and even playable with up to 4 players, which is optional. At number 17, we've got over here my own favorite of all time, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. This is a direct port of the classic console action RPG and on the mobile devices now. In my opinion, just about the most amazing classic if you do appreciate one. Symphony of the Night works only good with a controller. The game seriously knocked it out of the park when it came out on the mobile devices, as it is not a free game. It only takes you down for $3. I mean, you can play the game for free with an emulator on the PlayStation application on your mobile devices, but that is nothing compared to the quality you get with this one. Game is really enjoyable in replay value, has a huge world to roam around, has so many secrets, and just about one of the most addictive games and one of the most memorable games of all time. And last but not least, as our honorable mention, probably the most honorable mention of the day, we've got over here Dead Cells. I've said it before a dozen times here, Dead Cells is about the smoothest game on the platform if we're talking roguelike, Metroidvania, platformers. It's a perfect combination of the previous game Castlevania and Dark Souls, albeit crafted to perfection for the highest amount of replay value. There's a downside though, this game will take you down for $10 as one of the most expensive games on the platform in the genre, and it takes you down for 1 GB of space, but it's definitely worth.